welcome to another episode of United to Debate, and I'm Sujata.
I am Vivek. Um, there is a singer, British singer named Jessie Ware. She released her first debut album roughly at the beginning of the previous decade, or this decade. No, the previous decade, 2010, uh, and mostly in a pop format, pop and R&B. But even though she has been nominated for a couple of awards, Brit Awards, her albums have fared fairly poorly, and her most recent, or her album in 2017, had such disappointing sales that her mother even tried to convince her to abandon the career. In in light of that, she actually started a podcast, a cooking show, with her mother, where they would cook and invite a celebrity guest over for dinner, while also pulling and bickering with each other at the dinner table, lending a sort of semi, door into the family life and almost like overhearing conversations. But the popularity of the show, mixed with the celebrity guests like Ed Sheeran, Sam Smith, led the podcast to be downloaded more than 80 million times, and her music has actually taken off as a result of it. So we are trying to discuss here, is art, or the ability to produce creative pro- content and work, is it the most or is it the least meritocratic endeavor, human endeavor? Because if I'll first take the baton here, and then Sujata will reply. I really think art is one of those things which is completely without any common universal standard, and that really makes it very subjective and arbitrary. Consider there was an artist who actually had taken a banana and just put a duct tape and put it on the wall. I think for one of the um, art showrooms like Christie's or Sotheby's, but at an auction house, and it was up for display only, and the product details or the art details were that it's only up for display for not more than 12 days, or because the bananas, it's a organic produce, and it would grow rotten, but it fetched $120,000. So clearly, if I were to put a banana on my wall, and then place it there with duct tape, I'm sure people in my house would look at me and say, "Don't don't be silly and childish." Similarly with Gangnam Style, which had released I think earlier in 2012 or 2014, and there was the PSY, the singer, the artist, he ended up that song ended up uh, grossing. It was the first, I think, the first video on YouTube to gross more than 1 billion views. And if you consider his career before and after, it's a classic example of the flash in the pan. And this sort of factor that cannot be explained. The reason why, a mere banana can sell for 100, can be auctioned for $120,000. A singer who generally has not been famed for any sustained levels ends up becoming the first artist to gain 1 billion views. It was not Michael Jackson's music, it was not Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, nothing. So this sort of subjectivity and arbitrary nature would lead me to think art is one of those, you know, fields of human life where there is no entry and no qualification required, and which deals it very, you're at the behest of the people. If the connoisseur, if they are of a certain caliber and qualification and historical understanding of your art, they'll be able to appreciate your art. And if they cannot, they won't even understand if it's good and relevant work. Like painters, Edward Monk's Scream. Now, a connoisseur of artwork and painting or graphic illustration, natural with colors and with pencils, would look at scream and be, you know, completely overwhelmed with uh, with appreciation. But a casual observer would not really be able to place the significance and the creative abilities and the artistic sophistication of the work by Edward Monk. So, whereas if you look at education or science, they're clear, or medical expertise, they're clear, independent qualifications and levels of standard which are not subjective and arbitrary, and they are measured the same for one and all.
Uh, Art, in fact, I feel is the most democratic human endeavor, precisely because it allows an experienced and inexperienced individual to have equal chance of success. There are several artists who have never had any formal training but who are excellent artists just by their expression of their work. Without art, Gangnam Style would in fact not have had its success because it would have to cross through bureaucratic hurdles such as those in science or academia. Art can cater to any audience, and that makes it more fulfilling on a personal capacity because everyone will not have the same circumstance or background to be on equal footing of sophistication, and it's not even required. That in turn means art can cut across socioeconomic levels and cultural boundaries and provide common experiences leading to shared interests. That is what allows communities to tell stories about themselves and develop greater empathy and acceptance of each other. The painting which you see behind me is an example of that. That she may not be as renowned as, say, the world famous artists like Picasso or other this thing, but she has created the painting which is behind me, you know, in just a matter of few hours. And there are many such who actually create day in, day out without any formal training, but they have such a greater satisfaction of putting their thoughts, expressions, beliefs into art, which can be easily explained and grasped by the observer.
Well, I guess we should um, address it out to the viewers and our subscribers. Please subscribe to the channel, otherwise we cannot sustain making these productions for too long. And if you have any personal anecdotes or stories about any of these topics that you want to share and discuss and debate, please tweet us or reach out to us in the comments below.